We are live. Hi, guys. Welcome back to Solo Club. If you're joining me live, hello. Thank you for joining me live. If you're watching this in the future, hello. Thank you for watching this in the future. Firstly, an apology. Let's start with an apology. I am British after all. I've been traveling this week to Dubai. I was there for a couple of days and came back. So one, I think I'm still jet lagged. I think, and two, I had quite a few drinks while I was there. We had a bit of a party on one of the evenings because we deserved it. We worked very hard. And yeah, well, if you've seen my newsletter this week, the Marcellus Reviews newsletter, I'll leave it there. Yeah, anyway, happy Friday. So the reason I'm saying apologies for that stuff is because it might make this live stream even more rambly and weird than normal. So that's why. Still hungover probably, and definitely still jet lagged. Firstly, some news. So I've actually just had firstly, I don't get many viral videos. It takes a while for my videos on any platform to get massive, I'm talking like hundreds of thousands of views. It takes a while normally, unless I do a video about an iMac. But I've just had a TikTok video hit 1 million views, and it's done it in 2 days. Firstly, that's my second million view video. The first one, again, was on TikTok, but it's certainly the fastest ever to get to that ridiculous number. And it's if you haven't seen it, if you follow me on TikTok, you'll see it. It's a video about the Huawei free clip earbuds, which kind of clip on your ears and they play music into your ears, obviously. 1 million views. Just ridiculous, and it's brought in nearly 3,000 new followers, loads of comments. Most of them you can guess what they're like. They're pretty horrendous, but some of them are actually really positive about the product. But yeah, 1 million views. TikTok is just weird. It's brilliant because you can get big numbers quite quickly, but I don't know how it works. I don't get it at all. But that is really good news. Anyway, that isn't what this live stream is about. I'm going to talk today. Well, I'm going to give you 5 of the biggest regrets that I have as a content creator, having run this business for 3.5 years. 5 of the things that I regret the most, and I think that's going to be quite interesting and hopefully quite useful for yourselves. And as always, after that, I'll take questions from you guys. I am going to have to turn off the air conditioning because it's really hot in here now. Should probably have done that before I got started, but there you go. That's better. I can hear myself think as well. So yeah, 5 things that I regret having run this business now for 3.5 years. And then your questions. Before that, though, before any of that stuff, I need to do some housekeeping. I've been told by the team that I need to mention this stuff, so I'm doing as I'm told. Next week, I'm doing 2 free webinars on Substack. Not on Substack, it's on Zoom, but it's all about Substack. So basically, I'll be doing a fairly simple, fairly, not particularly complicated, because I'm not a Substack expert, but I have started it quite positively, and I do think the stuff that I've learned over the last year or so that I've been doing it is quite valuable, I think, really. So we've decided to put together a fairly simple, roughly hour-long webinar about this, where I'll take questions again, but I'll also give you some insight into how I'm using Substack. Completely free. They're on at 9 o'clock on UK time. Start again. I told you, didn't I? I'm jet lagged. That's why this is so all over the place. Monday and Wednesday next week at 9 p.m. UK time. Free Substack webinars to get involved in. The links are down below in the description. They're definitely there. I put them there a moment ago. Yeah, come along. I'd love to see you there. If you do miss them, they won't be recorded, I don't think. And then, actually, no. Let's say they will be recorded, and I'll put them on the Discord server. And that leads me on to the Discord server, which is completely free. Again, linked down below. If you haven't joined it, go and check it out. My other things that I need to mention are the fact that the Creator Academy early bird pricing ends on the 20th of December, which is next week, I believe, isn't it? It's next Wednesday. So basically, you've got until next Wednesday to save some money signing up for the Creator Academy, which kicks off at the end of January. Very excited about that. If you don't know what it is, again, there's a link down below so you can check it all out. But very basically, the elevator pitch, if you like, is me opening up the bonnet to this business. It's showing you everything about the engine behind this business, how I work with sponsors, how I've built the business from a kind of process perspective, covering all the different types of content that I create and the platforms that I push it out through, all that stuff. It's gonna be me offloading what I've learned and how I've built this business for anyone who wants to follow in my footsteps. Which, if you're watching this live stream, either now or in the future, I'd guess you might be interested in. So we're very, very excited to kick it off at the end of January. And the early bird pricing, like I say, does finish on the 20th. So please go and check that out if you want to save a bit of money. Also, Callum, who does pop up on these live streams in the chat section sometimes, he is running the academy behind the scenes, and he has very, very kindly, I can't believe he's done this really, but it's very nice of him. He's offered a free 10-minute chat with anyone who's got questions about the academy. So if you've got something you're not too sure about the academy, or you just want to have a chat with someone who's working on the academy itself, Callum will do that with you. He'll have a chat, 10 minutes, completely free of charge. Also no obligation. You can chat with him and not go for the academy. That's no problem at all. He's a nice bloke as well. You'll like him. I think that's all of the things that I need to mention. Um, it is, I think. If I've forgotten something, I'll get told off. But they're the key things, definitely. Right, guys. So as always, I'm not looking at the chat window because I don't want to be distracted, but please fill it up with your questions. There might be questions that come up as a result of the stuff that I'm about to talk about, or you may just have a burning question that you've wanted to ask me for a little while. Please get involved. One thing is that this isn't a tech channel, so I don't tend to take questions about MacBooks and which iPhone should I buy and that sort of stuff. They're for Mark Ellis reviews, but for everything else, creator related, running your own business related, anything you just wanted to ask me for a little while, stick it in the comment, not the comments, in the chat window, and we'll check that out in a few minutes' time. Before that, though, I wanted to talk about regrets. And the first thing is with regrets, I was thinking about this morning. I don't have many. In fact, I don't have any big regrets from my life. I've always been of the opinion that hindsight is a very interesting but ultimately useless tool, because you can't do anything with the information. If you screwed something up last week and you think, well, with hindsight, if I'd done that instead, everything would be fine. Well, great, but then that thing has still happened. You can't do anything about the past. So I've always thought that it's best not to have regrets. You can have small regrets. You can regret the thing that you ate last night. You can regret that, I don't know, you perhaps should have supported a better football team. Things that aren't particularly life-changing or dramatic. Those are regrets that are fine to have. But I think when it comes to big things that happen in your life, I'm a firm believer that they always happen for a reason. Everything that's happened to me, either in the business or in my personal life, that has been big, no matter how hard it's been to get through, I don't regret my part in any of that stuff. I genuinely don't, because we make mistakes. We all make mistakes, or things happen to us, and it's easy to think, okay, I could have prevented that thing if I did something else, but you can't, because it's happened. However, I thought I'd set myself the challenge of coming up with five, or trying to think of five things that have happened to me as a content creator, and specifically as a full-time content creator and an owner of a content creator business. Five things that I think I could have done better and that you could class as regrets. And this wasn't easy, which I think is a good thing. I think the fact it took me a while to work out what those five things are is actually quite a positive thing. But let's just get straight into it, because I think these will help anyone who wants to follow in my footsteps. The first one sounds really mundane. It's basically choosing to go with GoDaddy as a website hosting platform. That sounds incredibly boring. Don't switch off yet. The reason it's so important, and it's easily it's the second most important thing on this list, is because it relates to my most important asset, which is my website. So markellisreviews.com is by far and away the most important thing that I own, because I do genuinely own it. Just like my newsletter list, no one can take it off me. Now, my website is mine. What I did back in 2020, when I was first getting this thing set up and going, was build that website myself. And to be honest, it's still the state it's in now. I don't mean that in a terrible way. Just the way it looks now is still pretty much as it was back in 2020, when I spent several late nights putting it together. And it does the job. I think because it's just it's a blog website, it's a blog listing website basically. It doesn't need any kind of complicated design. There's no purchasing buying journey that you have to think about. It's a very simple website that displays blog posts. It's really simple. So I remember thinking, okay, I could either spend money on someone doing this or do it myself. And the benefit I had is that I've always kind of dabbled in WordPress. I'm pretty familiar with WordPress. I can kind of work my way around it quite sufficiently when it comes to design. And I know the principles of web design and all that sort of stuff. So I thought I can use that basic knowledge and just make my own website, which is exactly what I did. Very happy with it. I'm happy with it now. I think the way it looks, although it needs a bit of tweaking, it does the job. And performance-wise, despite the issue we've had with the Google helpful content update a couple of months ago, it's performing well. So that's not a problem. What has been a problem is the hosting. So I chose GoDaddy, and if anyone, I guarantee I'll get comments about this in the chat window about this, because people who have used GoDaddy will know what I'm talking about, or people who avoid it like the plague will know what I'm talking about. But basically, I used GoDaddy as the hosting platform for it, and it's been an absolute nightmare. Absolute pain in the backside. Downtime. There was one point where, just very quickly on the downtime side of things, loads of downtime to the point where I'm convinced we've lost no end of traffic and definitely ad revenue because of those downtime periods. So that there was that. Also, there was a point at which I had an email from GoDaddy saying that the website would be taken down if a virus wasn't removed from it. I had about 3 days to do this. There wasn't a virus on it at all. There was nothing there at all. I had someone check it over. But it's stuff like that. Basically, just a catalogue of horrendousness from GoDaddy. No support, terrible support from them. Awful. And when I think back, I just think if I'd thought ahead a little bit more, I would have picked, basically, I would have spent a bit more money and gone with a hosting platform that could match my ambitions for that website. Because my ambitions for that website have always been very big, but I didn't really match that with my investment in it. So that was a big mistake. That is something I regret, definitely. Um, the good news is it's now off GoDaddy. It's not running on GoDaddy anymore. Literally yesterday, we completed the transfer from GoDaddy to WP Engine, and immediately it's quicker. It's not crashing. It's always there. I know we're only 2 days in, but I know it's a good thing, and a team has done it. I've paid someone to do it, so that's the first thing. The second regret that I've got is not building a team anytime sooner than this year. So I now have quite a few people who either work for a fair bit of their week for me or just kind of dip in when they need to. Um, the main person involved in this is Niall. So Niall, who I've mentioned a few times on these live streams, is my general manager. He's not an employee. He's not working full time for me, but he is doing a lot of work for me each week. And he's kind of doing all of the really important production and process type stuff behind the scenes that basically result in sponsors coming on board, in videos going out, and in things like short form video being produced and distributed, amongst other stuff. So he's doing things that I was doing originally, and it's taken my head out of that kind of really in-depth stuff behind the scenes, so I can focus on this sort of stuff, making content, going to events, doing all the stuff that I should be doing, and getting me out of the stuff that I shouldn't be involved in at all. And the best thing is he does it better than me. Niall is also a brilliant editor. Most of the short form stuff on TikTok, Instagram, etc., that you may have seen over the last couple of months is from him or from Richard, who also does some of the short form stuff. But most of the dedicated shorts that we've created from scratch are Niall, in terms of the editing, and they're just brilliant. So Niall, Richard, Max, Callum, Jen, my girlfriend, she's my only employee. She does a lot of stuff as well. I've kind of built this team up this year, and I have other plans next year to do even more. I've brought in a consultant recently to help me and Niall with the sponsorship side of things. And again, with hindsight, which is a useless tool, but it's interesting to think about. I know I should have done this probably really in 2022. That would have been ripe for doing it, but I didn't. And the reason it's a bit of a regret is because I know that I spent a lot of time doing stuff when I didn't have Niall, I didn't have the other team members, wearing myself out when I could have just got someone, just paid someone. I've always had the money to do it. There's been cash there to invest. I've just not done anything with it, and I should have done. I should have spent that money on team, and there we go. I'm doing it now, so I'm fixing that as we speak. Number three is relying so heavily on Medium. Now, I won't rant about Medium now at all because I have done that quite a few times on this live stream and in blog form. So I won't bore you with that again. But just very quickly, they made a bunch. Well, firstly, Medium, if you're not aware, is a writing platform, a blogging platform, basically, with a very big audience, and it pays writers if you choose to be paid, which sounds weird, but you don't have to. But if you become part of the partner program, you get paid based on how many people read your stuff, how long they read it for, and all that sort of stuff. But Medium made some big changes this year, which resulted in some fairly catastrophic drops in views, reads, and revenue for writers. And I was one of those writers that was hit quite badly. This all happened in August. And although I've always um, kind of lived by the mantra of having more than one source of income and more than one audience and that kind of thing, it still hit me quite hard because Medium has been a big slice of that pie since about 2021. I've always earned very well from Medium each month. So to have that just kind of collapse in on itself was frightening. And I think the reason I see this as a bit of a regret is because even though I'm not just relying solely on Medium, I shouldn't have been hit that hard by it mentally. I shouldn't have worried that much about it. Um, and it kind of confirms what I've always thought, which is that you can't put all your eggs in one basket. And equally, if you do react, if something goes wrong and you react that badly to a part of your income crashing down, something's not right. I should have had something else in the bag, something else that was ready to go, to kind of get to take over that revenue and fill that gap really. Um, Consequently, what's happened is that I've really started investing time in Substack, and although that's a much slower platform to grow in terms of the audience and certainly the revenue, it's starting to happen. And that's partly why I'm doing the webinars next week. If you've just joined, by the way, two free webinars. They're both the same, so it's depending which one works for you date wise. But on Monday and Wednesday next week, completely free, 9 p.m. UK time. Come and join me. I'll talk more about Substack then. But yeah, Medium has been one of those things this year that I've just thought, why was I so heavily invested in it? I think about the time I've put into Medium, and it's paid back for a while, but it's not kept its promise despite me still putting the same amount of effort in. So that's been a real learning curve, really. Right, number four is something which I think if you asked any YouTuber what one of their main challenges was, I think they would say it's the balance, or striking the right balance between sponsored, revenue-based content and growth content. And what I mean by that is primarily videos that you make that are sponsored, not integrations, but dedicated videos. So, a video of a product where you speak solely about that product, and the brand pays you for that video. That is where the big bucks are. Again, I think any YouTuber will tell you this. That's where you can get paid a lot of money. So they're very attractive. They're very tempting to do a lot of if you get enough inquiries. The problem with them is that although they chuck a load of money into your bank account, they don't chuck a load of audience members or new audience members or even existing audience members into your metrics. So those videos typically do not grow your business in terms of the audience. So they're very important from a keeping the lights on and remaining profitable perspective, but they don't do anything else really. The other type of content is growth content, and sometimes growth content is sponsored, but it's sponsored via what we call an integration, where you have like a 90-second read somewhere near the start of the video. But the main topic of the video is something which is designed to play to your audience. So for me, it might be a video about the Mac Mini. It might be an iPhone video, a video about a pair of Sony headphones, for instance. And I know, I don't always know, but I've got a very good idea that those videos will perform well. They'll bring in new subscribers, they'll bring in existing subscribers, and they'll grow the audience. And also they'll kind of give me another video with a positive view count. So But again, if they're not sponsored, they don't bring in any money apart from a bit of AdSense revenue. So you've got these big, hulking kind of dedicated sponsored videos and the growth videos, and it's finding the balance between the two, which is very, very tricky. My one concern in terms of the way that I've done this previously is that I think I've focused a little bit too much naturally on the paid stuff, or just weighted it a little bit too much to this side in terms of the effort that I was putting in, which means the growth content kind of shrunk a little bit, and consequently, the channel didn't grow as quickly as it could do. This is an ongoing battle. It's something which I don't think I'll ever master, because the bigger the channel gets, the bigger those opportunities come to work with big brands who will pay you lots of money. But you just can't lose sight those growth videos. You cannot lose sight of those. So striking that balance is very much a mental thing. It's a natural human thing. When you're running a business, you want to you want it to be profitable. So if brand X comes along and says we'll pay you X amount for this video, you look at it and think, well, I can either do that or do another video on the Mac Mini. You have to make a decision, but it has to be the right one. So that has, again, been a big learning curve for me, which I'm still trying to learn. Probably never will. Um, we're on to number 5, right? Yeah, we're absolutely bashing through this. So number 5 already, is it's overlooking my health, and, I've had a couple of health scares during this journey, this 3.5-year journey. Nothing absolutely major. Well, it's all relative, isn't it, I suppose, really? But, two things that have been worrying health-wise, and although I can't attribute them to the work I was doing at the time, and even though doctors have said it's nothing to do with stress and whatever, and doctors know a lot more than me, obviously, I still sit there and think there must be something. If this thing has happened to me and I know that I'm working too much, I'm working late nights, I'm not getting enough sleep, I'm perhaps not always eating fantastically. This is gonna have an impact inevitably on my health, either now or in the future. So I think, again, during this 3.5-year period, I have occasionally overlooked my health. And the worrying thing about that, apart from the health thing, is the fact that if I look back at the times when I've done that and when I've worked way, way too long, way too intensely, and I haven't kind of pulled back at this point, the point I should do, I I can't really attribute that to specific success. I suppose over the course of 3.5 years, this business has been very successful. I'm very proud of it. I'm delighted with the way it's kind of turned out. So as a package, maybe, but those specific weeks or days or whatever where I've just done ridiculous things in terms of work. If I hadn't done those ridiculous things, I think this business would have carried on growing anyway. I just don't think you get much from that. There's this kind of, I was going to say romantic. That's totally completely the wrong word. But there's this kind of notion of pulling an all-nighter being a really, really brave thing to do, a really good thing to do if you're an entrepreneur. You pull all-nighters, you drink loads of Red Bull, and who cares about sleep? It's the most stupid thing you can do. I've done it, and I can say this. I've done this several times, thinking it makes me some kind of martyr. It doesn't. It just makes you really tired, unwell, and the work you produce is crap normally because you're absolutely destroyed. So don't. Again, I think it comes with age. Actually, I think. The older you get, the more you value your sleep above anything. And I think I have prioritized the business over my health on a few occasions, and that is something I'm actively working on at the moment. And I think really that is that. This is the most important thing, by the way. That I said earlier that the GoDaddy situation was the second biggest mistake I've made. This is the first biggest mistake because it's health. Health is wealth and all that stuff. So, but I do think it comes with age. I think the older you get, the more you realise how important health is, and the fact I am building the team, and I'm trying to pull myself back a little bit as much as I can. I'm going home earlier. I am slowly getting more sleep. I think that kind of illustrates how seriously I've taken this really. So those were my 5 things, which I've got. Excuse me, excuse me, which I've got through very quickly. Um, Hopefully they made sense. Like I say, I am still a bit jet lagged, so I don't really know what I'm talking about. Hopefully it all made sense. We have quite a few people on board at the moment. Hello, everyone. Let me switch on the comments so I can see them. Have a quick drink of water. Ben, lover of tech, is on here. Ben knows exactly what I'm talking about in terms of feeling he must feel tired as well. In fact, he's been doing lots of things this week above and beyond what I've been doing, so he's probably even worse than me. But Ben knows what I'm talking about because he was with me in Dubai this week, and we had a very good time. Um, really good time. One of those good times when just watch my newsletter this week. Sorry, Mum. Right. Lots of familiar faces. Callum is on. I think he's online from the looks of it. He said howdy about 15 minutes ago. As mentioned, Callum very kindly is offering 10 minutes of his time completely free if you want to ask any questions about the Creator Academy, which kicks off at the end of January. That's incredibly nice of him, and there's no obligation. You know, if you speak to Callum, we're not going to hold you at gunpoint and obviously and say you have to buy your ticket to the Academy. That's not how it works. You can just ask him questions to see if it's something for you, basically. Callum has left a message here. I feel like we need a Niall and Mark Q&A live video interviewing one another. That's a great idea. Is Niall on here? I don't think he is he? He may see this anyway. So yeah, I think we should do that. Some people have asked me to do it with Jen as well, so my girlfriend. I mentioned this to her, and to my shock horror, she said, "All right." So we might do that at some point. That could be very embarrassing for me, couldn't it? But maybe we should do one with her and one with Niall as well. Yeah. Jakob says Scam Daddy is terrible. GoDaddy, I presume you're referring to. They are. I don't mind calling them Scam Daddy either, because they're genuinely terrible. To the point where I'd mention them on Twitter if I had an issue. I wouldn't be horrible about it. I'd just say, look, hey GoDaddy, my website has died for the 13th time this week. Help. And they'd never reply. Every other brand I can think of where I've mentioned them on Twitter, you always get a response, either from a real human being or a canned response from a AI driven robot. Nothing from GoDaddy, no matter how often you do it and how many other people get involved, creating this horrible PR, this horrible noise around their brand. They just don't seem to care at all. Anyway, yeah, I agree. Awful. Absolutely awful. Do I have some vacation in the next weeks? Sort of. Niall and I were having a meeting earlier about the next 2 or 3 weeks, and it's not as mad as it's been. This year has been particularly ridiculous, but there's still a lot of stuff to do between now and Christmas. And we've had beyond the stuff we've got booked in, we've had requests from brands to do stuff before Christmas, and some fairly big brands actually. One in particular who wants something before whenever Christmas is, and we've had to say no because we just can't fit it in. But yeah, I think between content for Mark Ellis reviews and getting the academy ready for next for January, there's a lot of stuff. So fitting in vacation time is tricky, but it is happening. I'm taking some time next week during the day to go and do stuff with my son, then working in the evening, obviously. But yeah, and then Christmas time, some time off. I promise. Hopefully you guys are doing the same thing because it's important. Jakob says, I think medium is fixed, at least for you, buddy. We say it's fixed. I mean, there's the revenue has kind of increased a bit. I think it hasn't fixed insofar as the numbers are still terrible unless you get boosted articles. So I did say I wasn't going to rant about this, didn't I? So I won't rant about it. But the way Medium works now is that you only really get any kind of performance in terms of engagement and views and revenue if you get stories boosted. And boosted stories only happen if someone, literally a person, a human being, not AI, a real human being who may have got up out of the wrong side of the bed that morning, they have to tick a box to boost your story in the algorithm. Now that's frightening as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, if you don't get boosted stories in a month, nothing happens. And that never used to be the case. It used to work like every other content platform. Not going to rant about it, but yeah, it's still not fixed for me. In that, I know what you're saying, Jakob, but it's not fixed in terms of the platform. Where are we? I'm getting options here for hosting. TSO host. It is British. Nice. I have. You may have missed it, David, but I have switched to WP Engine. We've gone for that this week, and I'm aware of. I've been aware of WP Engine for quite a while. I've had lots of recommendations for it. I've worked with them actually in the past in a different life, and I'm confident we're in the right place. Averted Vision. This is a new name. I think you're new to the live stream. Hello, welcome on board. What happened to your music creation videos? They kind of stopped, didn't they? To be honest, everything's still sort of set up for it. I think what's happened. This is a bit of a passion project for me, so I have to be careful with it, not that it doesn't overtake everything else. That said, the 2 or 3 music production related videos that I made back in when was it? August? No, it was over the summer, wasn't it? Which is August. Anyway, you know what I mean. They have performed quite well, so that gives me hope that it's worth doing. They've always been tied to a big product, so they've always been tied to the Mac Mini, for instance, or the iPad Pro. You have to do that to make the videos perform. But I really want to get back to them. I think what's happened is that everything else has happened. You know, that I started that kind of music production thing, and then September, October, and November happened, and guys who are watching this who are involved in this industry know that it's been one of the most ridiculous years ever for that. So all that stuff got in the way, which is really annoying. But it does mean that hopefully next year, during the times when things are a little bit quieter in terms of new releases and that sort of stuff, I can dig back into it. So I haven't forgotten about it. It's just other things have happened. Some stuff has to take precedence, obviously. Callum, water out of a glass. Where's the lark bottle? Really good question. It's been washed downstairs, Callum. Totally off brand. It's IKEA, this one. Not sponsored, obviously. Although if IKEA are watching, which they won't be, you know where I am. Malcolm says, what is this vacation you speak of? No idea. Holiday, we call it over here. That's what you're referring to, Malcolm. I know. We do call things holidays over here, which confusingly for American folk means Christmas. For us, holidays is going to wherever, Spain for a week. And Christmas is the festive period. It gets very confusing, this stuff, doesn't it? Mark, have you ever trialed any compilation style content? I'm considering a compilation video as a placeholder over the festive period to avoid creating anything brand new. Have I done any compilation style content? I'm just trying to think. Not insofar, because I think what you're referring to here, Mark, is taking content that you've made previously from, let's say, 6 or 7 videos and bundling it into a video. I guess what you do with that is have an intro, shoot an original intro, lead into those clips from the other videos, and then shoot an original call to action at the end. I guess that's what you're kind of considering doing. No, I've not done it. I've never really thought of doing it either. The only thing that I do that is similar to this that could be kind of considered to be a compilation video is when I've done a rundown, as I do this weekend. Funny enough, this weekend I've just scheduled a video for Sunday, which is my top 5 Macs of the Apple Silicon generation, and that kind of counts down from 5 to 1. My favorite Macs of that era, and that leans on a lot of past, I suppose, opinions of those Macs and also footage. So all of the B-roll in that video is just old B-roll. So that is the closest thing I come to a compilation video, I suppose. But I've never done it in proper compilation style where you get these clips of those videos and stitch them together. It's worth doing. I think it's and also it's a good idea, like you say, as a placeholder over the festive period. If you haven't got anything else that you need to create off, again, coming back to this vacation stuff, holidays and stuff like that, if you just want some time off, why not do that? What's the worst that can happen? It may not get as many views as you expect. People aren't going to leave your channel because of that. They're not going to unsubscribe because of that. If they do, then you don't need those subscribers because they're fickle. Give it a go. Do it actually, and let us know how it goes. Maybe I'll do that one day. Right, any other questions, guys? Got a little while. I've got 25 minutes if you still want me for that long. This destroyed man in front of you. I do feel better actually. I've had 2 fairly decent nights sleep, and yeah, I'm feeling a little bit more human. Here we go, Mark. Yeah, so that is what you were thinking about the compilation video. You keep seeing monster videos, 40 to 60 plus minutes being uploaded and getting huge views. In my case, it'll be 40 minutes of typing on lovely sounding keyboards. We'll give it a go. That sounds like a ASMR viewer's dream, Mark, because that kind of stuff, if that's what it's going to be, um, yeah, go for it. Give it a go. So, yeah, this game is all about just trying things, and if you're the creator, you can do whatever you like. Um, yeah, in terms of monster videos, I don't know if Ben is still watching this, but he had a lot of success with, and this is a completely different type of video, obviously, but he had a lot of success with a very long camera comparison a month or so ago. It's gone well beyond 300,000 views, and it was an awful lot of time and effort on his part. But it kind of proved that you can make a 60-minute long YouTube video and it can work. For me, that's frightening because it just sounds way too long, way too long. So to have the what's names to do that and actually get it out there is worth it. And the market kind of illustrates that you could have similar success. Who knows with your monster keyboard typing video. Here's a very nice generic question. I like this. How has your week been? It's been brilliant, actually. Really good. I mean, I mentioned at the start of this slide that it's been full of traveling. So I've been to Dubai for a couple of days as part of a press trip with Huawei, and brilliant trip. My first one with them, and met two or three people that I know fairly well through this business, which was great to see those. Met some new people as well. What's been amazing about it though, and what I think has made it the best one of these trips I've done so far. I've done quite a few now. Is the content. The content has just been unbelievable. Quite often with these sort of trips, the content that comes off the back of it, ironically, doesn't always perform very well depending on the product. You might get some decent views on a reel or whatever, but the YouTube video, for instance, I don't know, they just don't seem to perform very well. For some reason, this one has gone mad. So it was about the reason for the trip was based. It was with Huawei, and it was for two products. So it was for their mainly two products. One of them was the free clip earbuds, which are these clip-on earbuds that do kind of open ear stuff. And the other one was their new tablet, the MatePad Pro. And I've not made my MatePad Pro video yet because I've not reviewed it yet. It's just over there. Although I have, there is a reel going out in about 20 minutes about that. What I have done though, what I did in advance of going on this trip, was review the free clip. So they sent me them about 2 weeks before the Dubai trip, on embargo, under embargo rather, and reviewed it. Got the video scheduled for the embargo, and the embargo lifted while we were in Dubai, and it went live when during the talk they did. Brilliant. I genuinely thought that video would completely tank, not because of the product, just because I don't know. I just didn't think it would work, just based on past experience with these events. To date, that video on YouTube has had, he says, trying to find it desperately, it has had 17,000 views in 3 days, which is brilliant. It makes it a 3 out of 10 on the YouTube top recent videos, top 10. I thought it would be a 9, maybe an 8 if I was lucky, but I thought it'd be a 9 or 10 out of 10. 3 out of 10. It's brought in loads of new subs, lots of really interesting comments. Brilliant. And I've mentioned at the start of this video of this live stream, if you missed it, the TikTok version of that video has had 1 million views in 2 days. And also that isn't the only content I made from that trip. There's another one on TikTok that has done, where is it? 389,000 views. Another one that's done 15,000. There's one on not TikTok, one on Instagram that has done 21,500 views. About the free clip. So successful in terms of content. It's been a brilliant week for that. And again, I should just do a quick shout out to Niall. Niall was instrumental in a lot of this. He did the short form editing and the uploading to TikTok and Instagram. He did it very strategically in terms of the time those videos went live. I do wonder if I'd done it on my own, would the same thing have happened? Probably not, to be honest. So again, it goes back to that thing about building the team and the importance of it. So a long way of answering that question, but it's been a very good, if very, very tiring week. I'm ready for a bit of rest over the weekend. We have a date night tonight, which is quite nice. My parents have come down to look after our son, which means we can go out and enjoy ourselves for once, not for once. We haven't done it for a while, basically. So that's going to be great. Looking forward to that. Callum, are there any new creators you've come across whose content you're liking? We all know how much you admire Ali. I do admire Ali. I don't watch much of his stuff these days, to be completely honest. It's for me, it's gone a bit too down the generic. This isn't me criticizing him at all. He's a billion times ahead of me and a very smart guy, and I've been very much inspired by him. But for me, I can see what's happened with his content is that he's kind of gone back to the well, not even back, he's kind of gone onto this thing about helping people become creators like I'm doing really with this, but also investment type advice and self-help. It's what he was doing before, but it's just a lot of it feels like recycling, which I don't know. I've kind of I feel like I've seen most of his videos already, but this it's still working. He still gets hundreds of thousands of views. I think he's getting there to 4 million subs and stuff. So all the power to him. In terms of new, I'm just having a quick look at my subscription list. In terms of new people I've come across recently, I don't think there is anyone, to be honest, Callum. Just have a very quick look. No, I'm trying to think who I watch as well. I can see myself. How weird's that? Um, there's me live talking to you. No, I can't think of anyone. I'm not watching enough YouTube at the minute. Hands up, which is bad. There's lots of questions coming in. I want to make sure I don't miss any. Since you've had great success with the iMac benchmark, aren't you planning something with MacBooks as well? So Jakob is referring to the iMac video that I made a few weeks ago that has done very, very well. 340,000, no, 240,000 views. It's done fantastically. Because of that, am I going to do something with MacBooks? I don't know. I haven't got room for it at the minute. We've basically planned up to the end, in fact, the start of February, so everything is planned in content wise. So probably not, possibly not. Who knows? We'll see. I'd like to capitalize on it, but equally, I don't want to fall into the trap rather of, becoming a bit of a caricature of myself and doing the same stuff each time. As much as it might bring in lots of views, I'm just not about that really. I think that's not the best way to do it. Rob says Bobby Fingers. Bobby Fingers, I should explain this because the name sounds a little bit suspect. Bobby Fingers is a brilliant YouTuber. I haven't watched that video, Rob. I'll be completely honest. I completely forgot to watch it. Basically, he's he's an artist. I think he does these big sculptures and things. And he made a boat. It was Jeff Bezos, wasn't it? A Jeff Bezos shaped boat. But anyway, just Google Bobby Fingers. In fact, go onto YouTube and put Bobby Fingers in. That's probably the safest thing. But yeah, very, very impressive guy. God, must be Friday. So, Averted Vision says, I actually prefer the longer, more in-depth content. Have you thought about doing interviews? Not really. No, I did an interview with One Password probably a couple of years ago now, and it did relatively okay. It was much more popular on Medium, funny enough. That's where everything kicked off on Medium. But interviews more so for Solo Club, absolutely. So I do these interviews with fellow kind of content creators and solopreneurs for this channel. So I've published a few of these already. We've got a few more in the works, a few more in the can. So for Solo Club, yes. For Mark Ellis reviews, not really. The only time that I would do an interview potentially, and I might do this at CES in January, is for short form. Short form videos where I talk to someone about a product. I just don't think it's got the legs, the kind of the staying power for. I was going to say for YouTube. I think for podcasts absolutely, but the podcast element of Mark Ellis reviews is 8 or 16, and at the moment that's not on YouTube. At the moment. Jakob, will there be more content from Dubai? One more piece of content, which is, as I mentioned earlier, going live at 5 o'clock. It's on TikTok already, actually, but it's going live on Instagram at 5 o'clock UK time. Apart from that, no, there won't be any more content. We're kind of the only thing that's kind of related to that will be my MatePad Pro review, which will come out in a couple of weeks. But yeah, no more Dubai content. We wasn't really there. We weren't there long enough to get enough content together. It had to be very focused what we were doing, really. Alan says, "Evening, everyone joining now. Did I miss any more details of the last night in Dubai? I don't think. I think Ben may have gone. He's probably fallen asleep. Don't blame him. Ben's not in. Ben was there with me. Any more details? I can't say everything, obviously, because it was with fellow YouTubers and nothing bad happened. Obviously, it was just we went out for a load of drinks and had a good laugh and a dance and all sorts. But it was just a really funny night. Really funny night. Yeah, it was great. We basically what happened is that we had this event with Huawei at a hotel, really swanky hotel. They did like a presentation, which was really interesting, hands-on with the devices. That all finished at about 9:30, I think, nearly 10 o'clock. So we retired to a restaurant within that hotel up at the roof level. Had some dinner, lovely Italian food, a couple of glasses of wine there. Then we left there and went to a rooftop bar, which the guy at the PR team had booked. And bless them, that they thought it would be like this kind of rooftop thing, nice and quiet, chilled out, have a few beers and stuff. It wasn't. It was like a mini club in this room. Really cool place. And I think to begin with, the PR guys were like, "Oh God, sorry, we thought it was going to be a little bit more chilled out than this," but it didn't matter. It turned out to be brilliant. And what can I say about that evening? No, like I say, nothing terrible happened at all. You just don't want to put anyone's nose out of joint. But we we had a few drinks, and I think that it doesn't matter if you drink or not. I think it's really important to unwind after those sort of events, because it may look like we're having the time of our lives, and we are to a degree, but you're there working and you're there on someone else's dime. Someone is paying for you to be in Dubai for a couple of days in a lovely hotel, completely fed and watered. I didn't spend a penny while I was over there. They basically get you from your house to a lovely hotel room in Dubai and back again, completely free of charge. And you have to do some work. It's kind of made relatively clear in the stuff that you sign, the NDAs and stuff, that you're expected to produce some content. You can't just go over there and have a mini holiday. It's not what it's about. And because of that, you're working all the time, and also you're networking a bit as well. So you're kind of either networking, a horrible word, but you're kind of really getting to know other YouTubers. You're getting to know the PR team. You're getting to know the brand, hopefully, as well. So you're kind of on it constantly, and as a result of that, it's exhausting. So I think having that wind down time where you do have a bit of fun is important. It's really important. So yeah, it was brilliant. We did buggy racing, not racing, but buggy definitely wasn't allowed to be racing. Buggy riding in the desert, which was just amazing. This amazing desert landscape. I've never been to the desert, proper desert before, and very very hot, which is weird in December if you're British. Amazing and weird. But yeah, we did this amazing buggy experience, and yeah, it was great. Absolutely brilliant. Callum, as a creator, is there one platform that you wish you had jumped on sooner than you did? I'm thinking alternatives to platforms such as LinkedIn. I've really neglected LinkedIn over the last 12 months. I tried to get into it, and I think it's still very much in my sights, but yeah, it's just not happened recently. In terms of what I've jumped on recently, probably Substack. I think I should have started a Substack a long time ago. Probably nearer the time that I started Medium. If it was it around then? Well, I should have started Substack earlier, definitely. TikTok as well. So I didn't have a TikTok account until, where are we now? About a year ago, possibly, maybe less than that. And I've got 16,500 followers on there now. And it's been relatively easy to build that following versus YouTube and other platforms. So I think TikTok and Substack, I should have jumped on those. Yeah, I should have jumped on those two sooner, definitely. Callum, I've got loads of questions today. keep going. No problem at all. We've still got 10 minutes, guys, if you want to get some of the questions in. Alan says, drinking, dancing, laughing is good. It is. I totally agree. You deserve it, super dad. Thank you. And it was definitely dad dancing. The only thing I will say about that evening, he won't be watching this, but Asbyt, if you watch Asbyt on, spell Asbyt, very big creator on YouTube, been around a lot longer than me in terms of doing this. Really nice guy. He was constantly forcing me to get up and dance because I was so tired. You know, one of those evenings where you just want to sit down, have a laugh, and just chill out. And he was having none of that. Every 10 seconds, it was like, Mark, get up, and dragging me up and doing stuff. And he's a bit of a wind-up merchant, but it was a good evening. Will I be doing a live next week? Yes, he says, checking his calendar. I don't schedule these in. Jen does this. So what we do next week? So yeah, there is one next week, but it will be Thursday. So the 21st, same time as always, but Thursday rather than Friday. Thanks for checking. Personal question, Callum. What was the first thing you bought yourself with your first ever paycheck? Do you mean my first ever paycheck from this business? That's my first question. I mean, the first thing I bought myself with my first ever paycheck, no idea. That was a long time ago. Let's assume you mean as this business, maybe. What was the first significant thing I bought? I think was my car. To be fair, I bought my car in. Was it 2021? Was it 20? Yeah, 21. The summer of 21. It's a BMW M2. It's a car that I'd wanted for a long time. Wasn't cheap. Didn't buy it outright. I'm not a millionaire. But yeah, the M2 I think is probably the biggest thing I've bought myself. Either or. Yeah, the first thing I bought with my first paycheck. Genuinely cannot remember. But yeah, my car has been the most significant thing I've treated myself to. Definitely. Yeah. Hi, Paul. Paul is another YouTuber. Check him out on YouTube, obviously. Good. You missed the start. I wouldn't worry, Paul. I'm hungover and jet lagged. My guess is that the first 20 minutes of this live stream haven't made any sense whatsoever. But if you want to go back and watch it, go for it. That's very kind of you. I'm just seeing if there is any other questions I've missed. We still have about 8 minutes, guys, if you want to get anything else in. Any other questions? You may have noticed that everything looks different because I've moved the table from there to here, and I don't like this. It looks worse. I mean, you can see things that you don't normally see. So that over here, these are a load of review unit boxes, old review unit boxes that I just haven't thrown away, and the lighting's horrible. It's just not the best look. The cabinet of rubbish is, I call it something else. The non-PG version. The cabinet of rubbish is over here. It's not rubbish. It's full of things actually that Rob has bought me mainly for Christmas and birthdays. So that's lovely stuff. That's still there. That's still a very important cabinet. All sorts of Easter eggs on there actually, which I won't say what they are, but you can probably spot them. Yeah, so apologies about the kind of setup. I just left this as it was because I'd moved it for a video that I was filming and couldn't be bothered to put it back in place. So yeah, apologies about that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can talk about that might be interesting. Probably not. Go to Dubai. That's one thing I'd say. What an amazing place that is. I was absolutely bowled over by it. I went there with no expectations at all, apart from the fact that I'd heard from other people that it's very clean and very safe. Barely any crime and all this sort of stuff. And so I had a few expectations, but I purposely went with a completely open mind, and the only bit of sightseeing really that I did was we went to the Dubai fountain and just stood beneath the Burj Khalifa, and it's one of those things where those kind of scenes very quickly normalize in your mind. So something that is that big, we have nothing that big in the UK. The Shard, you can apparently fit 3 shards into the Burj Khalifa. I think that's the case. But so we have nothing as big as that over here. But it does normalize quite quickly. So your brain kind of adjusts it. Firstly, it goes, this doesn't look real. This looks like like desktop wallpaper. This is weird. And then it just kind of normalizes and becomes the thing that you're suddenly living in. But it's very, very surreal to begin with and mind blowing. Just one of those places that you cannot just stop looking at. And it's got that kind of desert atmosphere, the very hazy sun, and Yeah, just an amazing place. Definitely going back. 100% going back. Lots of music questions today. When did you first start producing your own music? What was the first DAW that you used? I'm guessing Cubase. You guessed completely right. It was Cubase on an Atari ST back in, when would that have been? 1990, maybe. That's probably roughly. I think I started more seriously. I say seriously, more productively making music when I was about 12 or 13, maybe. I think that's when I first started dipping into that stuff. And yeah, that was probably it. Yeah, and yeah, Cubase. That's where I learnt my trade, music production wise. Cubase on the Atari ST. This is really getting geeky now. The Atari ST is, I think, the only computer ever, certainly personal computer, to have built-in MIDI ports. It had 2 MIDI ports. And when you think back to that, you think, why did Atari do that? What was the point of it? It wasn't purely a Cubase machine. It wasn't purely a music production machine. Why on earth did it have built-in MIDI ports? Which, if anyone knows what those are, for a music producer or a band or whoever needs a computer to, to drive a recording session, that is just gold dust. It was back then anyway, not so much these days. Yeah, an Atari ST, but just, God, those were the days. They really were the days. Can you walk around Dubai or do you drive everywhere? We didn't see the sea. We were very much we were smack bang in the middle of it, basically. We were staying at the Sofitel, if anyone's, is that how you pronounce it? If anyone's interested. And that was literally, if you looked on the map, where it said Dubai, the hotel was just there, basically. So, and that's very much in the centre, so right in the city centre. I think you probably need to drive a fair amount to get to certain places, partly because it's so warm. It's not as warm now as it is normally in the summer, which is apparently unbearable. But yeah, you probably need to grab a car. I think I'll do that next time. I think definitely. David, there are some brilliant videos on YouTube regarding showing the red arrows and an Airbus flying in formation over Dubai. They're being followed around the sky by two guys in jet suits. I read that terribly. Sorry, David. That sounds like the best YouTube video ever. I think if I made that YouTube video, I would just quit because you can't top that content, can you? But that sounds very Dubai. Very, very Dubai. 3 minutes, guys, before I go home, see the family, and then go out for a couple of drinks and a curry with my girlfriend, which is going to be amazing. My parents are looking after my son, don't worry. We're not just kind of letting him leaving to his own devices. I do wonder what would happen if he did that, because I think he'd just trash the place, wouldn't he? Actually, no, he probably wouldn't. We'd probably get back and he'd be watching Star Wars or something. He's starting to get in. He's 18 months old, 19 months old. He's starting to get into Star Wars, but the kind of kiddie young Jedi stuff, in quite a serious way, and I'm very happy about that. Jen's not quite as happy about it, but I'm very happy about it. What am I talking about? Any other questions, guys? I'm just looking through now to see if I've missed any. I don't think I am. Ooh, new comment. Excuse me. Are you? Love these random questions. Are you cooking Christmas dinner? No. No, just no. I don't think I've ever cooked Christmas dinner. I wouldn't trust myself with it. I do. I love cooking. Actually, I'm not a bad little chef actually. But the thought of cooking Christmas dinner scares me to death. I wouldn't want to get it wrong, and also it looks like really hard work. I'd rather just eat chocolate and nip down the pub and have a drink. It's best that I just don't get involved. I can chop stuff. If I need to do that, if I can do anything low risk, I'll do that. Yeah. Sorry about the spelling. No, sorry about the read, David. It was horrendous. I don't know what I just completely destroyed your comment. Apologies. Right, guys, I think we are at the end there. I'm going to call that a day, I think, partly because I just need to go home. Thank you, as always, for watching this. It's amazing you guys turn up. Get yourself an air fryer, says David. We've got one. We've got one. We don't call it the air fryer. We call it the chicken wing machine. Try and say that when you've had a few. Because we make chicken. Well, I make chicken wings in it. Make chicken wing? You don't make it. I cook chicken wings in it. Yeah. How have we gone to air fryers? Brilliant. That's why I love doing this. what I was about to say was thank you so much for coming on. I don't know why people turn up to this on Fridays and listen to me waffle on about chicken wings and trips to Dubai, but you do, and it's just I genuinely hope that preamble beforehand and the questions, the answers that I give to your questions are useful. I hope you're learning things. As always, actually, I forget to mention this. If you've got anything you'd like me to cover in the future on one of these live streams, just leave a comment because I do check the comments on this channel as much as I can. Leave a comment against this video about something you'd like me to cover, or if you've got a question that comes up after we've done this and I've gone home, stick it in the comments. I will answer it. And ideas for future live streams, I will definitely take into consideration and build them in. But anyway, the last thing to say once again is that if you want to join me for the free Substack webinars next week, either Monday or Wednesday at 9 o'clock UK time, 9 p.m. that is UK time, just check the links down below and get involved. But in the meantime, guys, thank you so much for watching this, for getting involved, for asking questions and being brilliant. I will enjoy my curry night. Thank you very much. And yeah, have a fantastic weekend. Have a fantastic week. And remember, next week's live stream is Thursday rather than Friday because of something called Christmas. So yeah, cheers, guys. I'll see you later.